Well, hi, Chris. It's great to have this conversation with you. And this is a truly transcontinental conversation because I'm here in North America in the early evening, and you are in Australia in the early morning, correct?
Absolutely right. I've had my coffee. I'm ready to go.
Okay, well, I've had plenty of coffee today. So I'm either ready to go or too ready to go. So let's start with some personal introductions. So anyone who's watching this or listening to this gets a bit of our background. They may not be familiar with us, and then we'll talk a bit about the series, the Great Thinkers series that we're contributing to. So why don't you start us off and tell us a bit about your personal background and where you're teaching now and your interests.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be a pleasure, James. I grew up in Yorkshire in the north of England and was educated down in the south of England in Cambridge, where I read modern and medieval languages, so French and German, a lot of literature in that degree, quite a bit of philosophy. I stuck around at Cambridge to do a PhD in modern French thought and then a postdoc and lectured there for a couple of years, at which point I met my wonderful wife, Alison, who's an Australian. And in 2011, we moved over to Melbourne, Australia, to Monash University, which is where I teach now, in a French department. So I teach the whole sort of swathe of French culture, literature, film, thought, politics, society. But the axis of my research is really in modern and contemporary French and European thought. So I package myself as a philosopher in what I publish, and what I write is articles and books on philosophy.
Excellent. Well, the funny thing is that we're both English, and neither of us are living in the country of our birth, or indeed the continent of our birth. So I'll just give my quick introduction here. So I was raised in the south of England in Wiltshire, so not so far away from Yorkshire in the grand scheme of things, but far enough away. And spent the latter part of my life, first part of my adult life in Scotland, in Glasgow, and then in Edinburgh. Studied engineering and computing in Edinburgh, and then took I don't know if it was a left turn or a right turn into philosophical theology. Developed a great interest in Christian philosophy and apologetics, and did a PhD in philosophical theology at the University of Edinburgh. And my topic was, a paradoxes in Christian theology, and how we should think about those. And then subsequently, in the Lord's providence, was given the opportunity to move to Charlotte, North Carolina, to teach on faculty at Reformed Theological Seminary here in Charlotte. We've got campuses in several places, but I teach at the Charlotte campus, and I teach some systematic theology, some history of philosophy, ethics, apologetics, various things, a mixed bag of courses, jack of all trades, master of none, perhaps. But my interests are very much in line with Christian apologetics, and particularly the thought of Van Til. I think that's a shared interest for us. We'll maybe get onto that. Writing in topics in Reformed philosophical theology. Fantastic. And I'm married too.
Along the way.
I met my wife in Scotland, so that I didn't have to go too far to find a wife.
Wonderful.